For
Hi.
joining us.
Hi,
All
thanks for
right,
having
so
me, Molly.
yeah, welcome. Welcome to another Zoom from Nerd Alert News. And we're recording this today on Friday the 13th. So it's kind of perfect that we're going to talk about something horror related. Um,
So,
anyway, meet Anthony Taylor. He is an award-winning author. Atlanta area people know him from his amazing sci-fi and horror convention, Monsterama. You've probably heard of it. He's also written he has articles in so many magazines like Fangora, Scream, Horror Hound, Retrofan, SFX, Monsters of Filmland, and so many more. I could go on. His books include The Future Was Fab, The Art of Mike Trim, and Arctic Adventure, uh, an official Thunderbirds novel. I love the Thunderbirds. And The Art of George Wilson, which was a really cool book. If you haven't picked that up yet, definitely do that. He was inducted in 2024. He was inducted to the Rondo Hatton Classic Awards Monster Kid Hall of Fame. That's a mouthful. Anyway, he is an award-winning author. And Nerd Alert News readers love him from his column Apes on Film. It's so much fun. All those articles are always so much fun. So welcome, Anthony. Thank you.
sure, I'm happy to see you again. It's been a while.
I know. Good to see you. I love it. I hope life's treating you well.
Oh, it's going well. Yeah, got the new book out this week, and it's doing really well. And I'm living up in southern Indiana now, and just uh,
Ah,
just getting rid of all the snow melt. So,
I guess I didn't realize you moved.
yep, yep.
All right. Well, great. Well, um, Anthony's got a new book. And oh, let me get it. If I can get it in the camera. Classic, yeah, classic monsters, modern art. And it's 20th century horror and 21st century illustration. It's absolutely amazing. And
Thank-
I want to tell everybody they can't see it, but the feel of it is just superb. Like the paper, the feel of it, the art, the color, which we will get to. It's just gorgeous. It's beautiful. You've,
Thank you.
so we're going to
And
talk
I
about
really was
this.
surprised. I
Yeah,
was going to
were you
say I was
surprised?
surprised that the lettering for Monsters was embossed and shellacked on the cover, so it's shiny and stands out a little bit. It's pretty neat. Yeah.
It does. It's lovely. And somewhere else in the book too, there's some writing that stands out and shiny. I didn't expect it. And I was kind of playing with it, like, oh, this is so cool. It's absolutely beautiful. Um, tell me where you got this idea to create this.
Well, I've been a fan of I've been an illustrator and graphic designer for most of my life, most of my adult life anyway, and have always been a big fan of classic horror films and monster movies and stuff. So as a kid, I was a collector of Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine and loved all the art on the covers of that and some of the other magazines. And um, Aurora Monster model kits and the box art for those were very kind of formative experiences for me with art. And I while I enjoyed that, I know a lot of illustrators who are doing this type of work now. And while there have been books about the guys who did it in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, there's never been a book, as far as I know, that kind of aggregated all the art of this category that's occurred since the turn of the century. So my hook to interest the publisher was that this would all be about characters who were created on or before December 31st, 1999, but only art that was created January 1st, 2000 or beyond. So all of the art in the book is within the last 25 years, but all of the characters depicted in the art are from before that.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant and it's just beautiful. And I'm not a huge horror fan, so I was super excited to see Godzilla in there and these
Right?
other monsters from sci-fi. I mean, there's been so many
Sure.
monsters. I got to show you. I got to show you my favorite. Everyone, you've
Okay.
just got to see this. Look at
That's great, isn't it?
this is my favorite.
I love that one too. That's by an artist named Erica Diudis. I think that's how you say her last name. Who does a lot of great work of similar to that, where she takes these monsters and puts them in kind of everyday situations, and it's amusing, but it's also makes them very relatable, you know. And she's also quoted pretty extensively throughout the book because I sent all the artists questionnaires to get quotes to put into the book, and she just had a lot of really great insights into what working in that space has kind of taught her and what she's brought to it herself. So she's fantastic. I really like her work, and I really like her personally too.
I love that. It gives it a real human feel to it, adds to it. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love it. Creature in the Black Lagoon having a little Mai Tai in the lagoon. It was just perfect. And so many are like that, like this one.
Yep, absolutely. Getting haircuts.
They're getting
That's a great
haircuts. I mean,
yeah, that's a great
it's so
piece by
good.
Jeff Preston, who did while that his stuff always looks like it's done in oil paints to me, but it's done with magic markers on paper. Isn't that amazing?
Oh my gosh, it doesn't look like that at all.
I know. Well, he uses these markers that are specifically made to kind of work on this paper like that. And then they have little blending markers, which is basically just a colorless marker with alcohol in it so that you can create those gradations like that. And he is absolutely the master of that technique. I've never seen anybody do it any better than him.
Oh, that's
That
amazing.
particular illustration was a an unused cover for a magazine that went out of business after their first issue. They were not as popular as they'd hoped to be. But having seen the art when it was created about 10 or 15 years ago, actually, it was probably a little before that. Um, it's always kind of stuck with me, so I was really happy to be able to put it in the book. And the guy giving the haircuts there is Jack Pierce, who was the makeup artist at Universal Pictures, who designed all those makeups for the original movies.
I would have no idea.
Yeah, there's loads of hidden, Easter eggs and context that a lot of people kind of like might miss. But I think, the fact that you connected to it just because of what it was and the technique and the colors and the humor that was injected into it, it says a lot, you know. It still means something relevant to you. It's still relevant to you, even though you don't, you didn't have any idea that that was kind of, depicting something that might have actually happened. I
I think it's going to connect to everybody. I mean,
hope so.
it has something in it for everybody. And for real, I believe it belongs on every horror fan's coffee table.
Thanks so much. I appreciate
Yeah.
that, and I can't disagree with you.
Yeah. Um, Tell me, how did you find all these amazing, talented artists? And I hate to ask it, but I've got to ask it. Were there any challenges in creating this book? It's
Well, let me go to that first because there are
okay.
always challenges in creating a book, and when you're working with a publisher at the level of Insight Editions, it becomes even kind of doubled. There are more layers that you have to go through. Uh, uh, I had to work with my editor, who was great, Tim Pilcher, and he and I collaborated on what to keep in, what to pull out, there was a lot. The other thing was that putting this together it's not just kind of like thrown in there. It is my criteria for including an artist was basically either that they had a unique style and presentation of their craft, or that that monster and horror art was sort of the main thrust of what they did.
Mhm.
So most of the people in this are pretty well known for being uh, that type of artist, and then anything else they do is kind of on the side to make money or whatever it is. But they do this because they love the subject matter. And in doing that, I then had to find pieces that would work with the text that I wrote. and support it. And you may surmise that we got an awful lot of Boris Karloff Frankenstein's, an awful lot of Bela Lugosi Dracula stuff.
Mhm.
So that was something we had to find people that did things outside of just those kind of like, those confines of the most popular kind of subject matter. And then we had to make sure that if we were putting them on the page, that they kind of went together and was something to do with the text within a page or two of that. So it was a very long and drawn out process. It took us about 2 years from the time that I signed the contract for the book for it to kind of like be done and off to the presses. And I'm really glad that we put the time and effort into doing that, because I think it really shows through that this is a book that not only chronicles the art and the characters, but also the community of people who are kind of driven to create these pieces.
That was perfect. Thanks. All right. I was wondering how that all came together. Um,
Sure.
do you have a favorite classic horror monster? Because, like I said, I mean, not the biggest horror, but I love sci-fi. And as you can tell, Godzilla is my favorite. And
Right.
there, I don't know where Godzilla is. You'd think I'd be ready, but there are
Uh,
Godzillas in here, and they
oh yeah.
just stole my heart. They're just
Right.
beautiful. So, who's
There's
your
some
favorite?
great there's some great Godzilla pieces in there by Bob Eggleton, who's like a 9-time Hugo Award-winning artist of the year. There's a great, very kind of neon pastel color piece by Jared
Yes,
Faust. He's an excellent artist. He's in the Atlanta area, and we're going to be doing a signing down there in March. So
this one.
he'll be there with me. Yep, that's the one.
That
A
it was
great piece.
incredible.
Really, yeah, yeah. He does amazing stuff that nobody else has ever really applied that to, which is why I wanted to include him in the book. So, it's really hard for me to pick a favorite. I will say the Creature from the Black Lagoon has always kind of been top of the list for me.
Yeah.
And I also like I also like Frankenstein in just about any incarnation, but obviously the Universal Monsters one was the one that I saw first, and the one that's probably nearest and dearest. But I like Glenn Strange's portrayal of the creature, or the monster rather, as much as I like Boris Karloff's, almost. So I was just glad to be able to do something, with this book that celebrates so many different of the characters that I have grown up kind of relating to, and referring to and returning to over and over again, to as it's kind of comfort viewing to me now for a lot of these classic films and television series and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I can see why. Well, I think that's going to lead into my next question. We're going off topic because you and I share a passion from an
Yeah.
old TV show called Space 1999. And
And
yeah, not horror, sci-fi, but there's one episode, and you know which one it is, that is pure horror and scared the living daylights out of me, and I had nightmares. Dragon's Domain.
absolutely.
Oh
And
my gosh.
when I got tapped to do some supplemental features for the Shout Factory release of Space 1999 about 6 or 7 years ago,
Oh wow.
they asked me to pick two episodes to do commentaries on, and I said I'd really like to do Dragon's Domain, and they're like, "Well, we already have one from Jerry." I'm like, "Yeah, Jerry has a very different Jerry Anderson, the producer. I think Jerry Anderson would have a very different perspective on that than I would, as about what was I? That was 1975 when it came out.
6, 5, yeah,
So I would
5,
have
yeah.
been 11 years old. He was in his late 30s and I was 11. It was a very different viewing experience for me than it was for him. And it was great to be able to talk about that, because you're right. It is nothing but kind of pure horror.
Mhm.
And it's, in my opinion, maybe not the greatest episode of the series, but certainly one of the most exciting episodes of the series.
Yeah, we love monsters. And
Yeah,
it reminded me so much of the movie Alien when it first came out. And
yeah, absolutely.
it wasn't just horror of the monster. It was horror of this poor guy having to face his monsters and face the creature. That was terrifying. And
Right.
I was about 11 as well, so I guess we know how
Yeah.
old we are. And and it's really scared me. And I remember telling my mom, like, Mom, I can't go to sleep. It was that scary. And so it was that well done. So I decided to bring it up because for me, that's on my list of horror, whether it's horror or not.
Oh, it's totally horror, and I'm hoping that if this book sells very well, that Tim and I can go back to the well and do a classic sci-fi modern art book to follow up on it, and that would certainly be right at the top of my list to put in there.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that. I have so much I can, so many ideas for that. That's right up my alley.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's right up mine too. I mean,
yeah,
I love the horror stuff, but I also love, there are a lot of monsters in the book that are not from horror movies. King Kong is not a horror movie, and neither are
right. And
any of the
Mothra.
Harry.
And
Yeah, Mothra.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's definitely a crossover for me there. One of my favorite television series of all time, as you can possibly, if I can, see us Outer Limits, which is mostly sci-fi but has a lot of monsters in it. So yeah, I'm hoping that we can go back and do that book.
Oh, I'd love that. Oh, you put a time machine art in there too, and it's one of my favorite
Yeah,
movies.
yeah, absolutely. And those Morlocks again were one of those things at an early age that I was like, oh crap, man, because when they come out in the dark and their eyes are glowing and everything, they don't
Yeah,
look like kind of like overweight dad bods, with hair stuck to them and painted blue. They look really terrifying.
they were. They
Yeah,
were. Oh, I'd
yeah.
love to see a sci-fi book. I'm looking forward to that. I assume this book's going to do really well. It's amazing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I hope so. And it came out February 10th, which was this past Tuesday. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but so it's in bookstores. I know Barnes and Noble's carrying it, and on any online outlets, we'll have it as well.
Yeah, and I think it's on Amazon too. And your website, goanthonytaylor.com. You can find all the information there too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to be a little evil here and switch subjects again
Right.
because I want to talk to you just briefly about AI and creativity. So I
Yeah.
know it can be triggering, but I want to know what is your opinion of how AI has come into our world and influenced creativity? Are there any positives to it, or is it all negative? Like, what's your opinion?
Well, what you're referring to is generative AI, which
Yeah.
is a misnomer. It's not AI at all. I mean, listen. Once we actually hit the singularity and some machines gain independent intelligence, mankind will probably only have about half an hour left before we're either blown away or subjugated and become the servants of these machines. So calling it AI is kind of a trigger thing for me because it's like, don't call something that makes cutesy memes for Facebook AI and then make people think that that's what AI is. That's not what AI is. My opinion on AI is that it's intellectual, it's theft of intellectual property from artists and from copyright holders, first of all. Second of all, it's a terrible waste of natural resources and specifically clean water, which is like used by the thousands of gallons to cool the servers that create your little cat memes, not yours, but the people who use them, little kitty cat memes to put around on the web. But the thing that really galls me about AI is that it basically is a machine that was created to make perfect moments for people who aren't actually able to create them themselves. They don't have the craftsmanship or the artistic eye or the whatever it is. And it again is one of those cautionary things where it's like that's not real. That's not something that the universe can tolerate. The universe doesn't make perfect moments that last that you can share around on social media. Perfect moments are things that cannot be manufactured by me, by you, by God, by anybody. It's certainly not a machine, and they absolutely can't be held on to, and they can't be extended. But AI basically by saying, okay, just come and tell us what you want, and we'll instantly give it to you,
Hmm.
creates a mindset that is going to be very difficult to reverse when it becomes something that is in the past for people. And I think that that's going to happen just like it did kind of for the dot coms in the 90s. You know, that boom went bust. Bitcoin went bust. There is still both of these things are still around, but they are kind of like legislated to within an inch of their lives now, and they are not what everybody thought they would be, which was the new frontier of how you're going to spend the rest of your life, be it creatively or financially or at work doing it. And so yeah, I'm 100%. There's no use for generative AI in my universe. Now, there are things that people are calling AI again that are not AI, but are not also generative AI. They don't go and scrape other people's art or writing or anything like that. There are a lot of things called AI, which are actual tools that are just algorithmically out there, algorithmic decision making tools. So for something like Photoshop, they might put together a series of filters and like motions and stuff, and they call these things actions. And you can find them online and plug them directly into your actions palette and just hit one button and that does it for you. So you know what is going to happen when you do that to the image you're looking at. And you didn't actually have to create that, but it's not creating the image. It created the tool that allows you to create the image. Generative AI is not a tool. Generative AI is theft, and that's a completely different thing. And it's something that is very problematic to me. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it shakes out. But I know that it will shake out to some degree.
Hmm.
It's
Well, I'm really glad I asked because that key difference is something I don't think I understood. So,
a lot of people don't because it's
yeah.
it's not something that people who are in the generative AI business want you to know about.
Okay. All right. Well, I can't just ask if it's, do I have a hangnail or if I should go to the doctor? There's one use for it, and it's that's intellectual theft of property and likenesses and artwork. And yeah, I'm really, really seeing more and more of it as I'm coming to understand it. And I just, I
There
knew
was
you'd mentioned
yeah,
it before, so I knew you could like help me understand it.
well, there was at one point about a year and a half, 2 years ago, um, the art that it goes through different generations because it does learn, but it doesn't. It
Yeah.
it can't process that learning. It just brings it in as it scrapes it off of artists. There was an artist who called himself Art Germ, and for about 2 years ago, for about a year, everything that was created by generative AI looked like his work, looked exactly like his work because he was so popular. And I can't even imagine how that guy must have felt for that year and a half or so, where everything that was coming out for free for anybody who asked for it was taking money out of his pocket, you know?
Gosh. Yeah. I get it, and it really helps me understand it. So thank you. I appreciate it. I knew you could shed some light on it for me, and I think that our viewers need to hear that too. All
Well,
right.
I appreciate you letting me talk about it because it's something I am kind of passionate about.
Yeah, I thought so. Well, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to something a lot more fun. Had to
Okay.
take that turn. Monsterama. The
Yeah.
next one's coming up in August of this year.
Right. August 7th through 9th in Atlanta at the Atlanta Marriott Northeast Emery Hotel.
Okay, tell us about Monsterama.
It's this will be our 13th year, and we are a retro sci-fi horror kind of fantasy, though not so much Lord of the Rings style fantasy as like Sinbad and the Golden Voyage of Sinbad or King Kong kind of fantasy. And we are this year have we're celebrating 60 years of Dark Shadows because it went on the air in 1966. And we've got a special celebration called Mathecentennial, 100 years of Richard Matheson, which is celebrating the 100th anniversary of his birth. And he is one of the greatest writers of the 20th century. And he wrote like 16 episodes of Twilight Zone and a bunch of great novels like I Am Legend and The Shrinking Man, which became The Incredible Shrinking Man in the movies, and Bid Time Return, which became Somewhere in Time, and What Dreams May Come, which was still What Dreams May Come. So a lot of his books were made into movies. He wrote an enormous amount of television. He wrote an enormous amount of original screenplays, and he really influenced the way genre fiction was taken in over about a 50 or 60 year period. Um, and we have got his daughter Allison Marie Matheson and his son Richard Christian Matheson coming to celebrate with him for the Dark Shadows celebration. We've got Catherine Lee Scott and Jim Storm from the original series, and then we've got Penny Dreadful and Jeff Thompson, who are podcasters and writers who kind of specialize in Dan Curtis, who was the producer of Dark Shadows and in Dark Shadows stuff themselves. And we'll have a bunch of other stuff going on there as well. That's kind of the main thrust. And of course, we've got about another 6 months or so almost in which we will be unveiling more and more guests and things that are going to be happening there.
Okay. Well, it's fun. I hope I get to come one day.
I would love to have you that join us there. We have a great time over the weekend. We have like 6 different panel rooms that we have going 7, 8, 10, 9 hours a day. It depends on the people who run it. They can run it all night if they want to. We screen 16mm movies all weekend long. We have a great time. We have a big monster prom where we get together and drink too much and dance and give out thousands of fabulous dollars worth of fabulous prizes to our attendees. And yeah, it's a big fun time if you're of a certain age and like genre movies and films and books and comics and art.
It sounds amazing. All right. I continue to be impressed by everything you do and your success. And do you have anything else in the works that you're allowed to tell us about? I mean, I know your brain doesn't stop. So, do you have something else in the works, or is it under wraps? Or are you just going to enjoy your success with this amazing book?
Thanks again. No, I do have. I've got a few more books coming out this year. So
Okay.
um, on April 2nd, I've got a book coming out called Jacksploitation: The Films of Jack Hill that I edited and contributed to chapter 2. And Jack Hill was the guy who wrote and directed Spider Baby and
Oh,
Foxy Brown and Coffee and The Big Dollhouse and The Big Birdcage and a bunch of great exploitation movies and horror films from the 60s up through about 1980 was when he retired. But he's still around, and we're going to be doing a signing at Monster Bash convention in June in Pittsburgh with him and Beverly Washburn, who was one of the stars of Spider Baby, his movie. So you can find all this info on goanthonytaylor.com, of course. And so I'm looking forward to getting that one out. And then I'm also doing the same thing with the Mathecentennial concept. So we're going to have a book that is a celebration of Richard's all of Richard's works, and I've got some amazing people writing stuff for that, including his kids are doing remembrances of him, and Ileana Douglas, who was one of the stars of Stir of Echoes, which was one of his books, wrote a nice piece for it, and then Jonathan Mayberry and David Morrell and Tim Lucas and me and Fee Sutton and just a ton of really good film writers and literature writers as well. Paul Stuve and Matthew Bradley, who are kind of Matheson scholars, are going to be in it, and I'm very excited about that. It should be out probably around Halloween.
wow, I knew you didn't stop. I knew your brain and your creativity definitely doesn't even take a break. I don't know how you have time, but that's what good creatives do. They just keep going.
It seems like every time I finish one off, I'm like, what would be cool is if I did that with this, or if this would be a great idea for another, and being able to combine an event at Monsterama with a book to celebrate the same thing has just been great because we did a Jacksploitation event last year and had Jack and Beverly with us, and it's a great way to put a whole experience together that that creates kind of a sense of community.
Okay, I'm glad I asked. And by the way, everyone, Anthony has way more books. I only listed a couple. If you go to his website, goanthony.com, or check out his Instagram, goanthony.com, Just
Anthony
no, just
Taylor. You
go
got to have the
Anthony.
Taylor.
Instagram, go Anthony, and you're on Blue Sky.
I
Same
am
thing.
on Blue Sky as well. Yep, and on Facebook. So
Yeah, thanks for being on Blue Sky, by the way. I'm hoping it takes off. Go Blue Sky. And Facebook too. So you'll be able to find all these books uh, on his website, and they're all cool. Some are I see most of them are like paperback, but I know you've had hardbacks too. This one is what's so cool is it's hardback, and it's just
right.
it's so nice. And a friend of mine wrote a book too, and it's so nice when it's this good a quality, you
Yes,
know.
I totally agree. They really did an amazing job binding it and putting it all together. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's going to come out in paperback or not, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, it won't be the same though, because of the quality of the paper, the quality of the photos. It begs to be a hardback on your coffee table,
True, true.
honestly. So anyway, I could talk all day, but I won't. So I think we should end the fun here. And I really, really appreciate you taking the time to chat with Nerd Alert News. And was there anything else that I left out? Any other projects? Anything else I could have forgotten to ask about?
I don't think so. I think we've kind of gone over everything, but yeah, all of this stuff, like I said, go anthonytaylor.com. All of, any links you need from me are right there. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate you inviting me, and it's good to be back at the Nerd Alert News kind of,
Yeah.
bridge here. So
Yeah, we miss you. I hope we get Apes on Film back some
I
other time.
hope, I hope we do too. The problem was that one of the writers had a stroke, and
No.
he's a lot better
Is he
now.
okay?
So
Okay.
and the other one had two kids, and then I started writing all these books, and
Yeah.
it just we got distracted and went different ways. But I hope that at some point soon we'll get the band back together and start posting new columns.
Good, because they're really fun.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's it then. I really appreciate it. And until next time on Nerd Alert News, and thank you again, Anthony Taylor, and we'll see you guys all next time.